Saudi Aramco. Let's see how you're gonna be by 2030. If you guys are ready, man, smash that like button. Let's go. So you guys may not know it, but Saudi Aramco was the world's most valued company last year in 2022. And we can thank the Russian invasion for that when the oil prices went to 120 bucks per barrel. Saudi made a whole bunch of money. And we can see here in 2022, they made $727 billion. That is crazy. That is insane. But look at the profits, $160 billion. That's insane. And I think this is the only company in the world that's making this amount of profits per year. That's just flipping. It's bonkers. It's crazy. And what's even crazier is that in 2022, where oil went down to below $0, they still made $50 billion. How the heck did they still make money in the year when the price of oil was negative? Doing some research, I was kind of shocked to see the numbers. But again, this was a source saying that it cost them $5 to $6 per barrel in Saudi Aramco. Now, do I believe that? I don't think so. $5 to $6 per barrel? That's insane. Exxon, Shell, all these other companies, even Gazprom from Russia, their cost is 40 bucks per barrel. Saudi Aramco is 5 to 6 bucks. Again, I don't know. Saudi Aramco has never come out and said how much it costs per barrel, even though they're a public traded company. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. But that's just insane. In the worst year ever, they've made $50 billion. That is insane. That is crazy. And I don't know what to say. That's insane. Now, 2022, they had a shares outstanding of almost 200 billion. I'm not kidding. You can even search it up. I've never seen a company being diluted this much. What's even more crazier, in 2022, it increased about 10% from 2021, which went down about 10 billion shares or something. That's crazy how much they diluted, but we'll get to the dilution in a bit. With all that, man, in 2022, Aramco stock was $7.40 if you convert it to US dollars, and market cap was $1.5 trillion. And then in 2021, we have, as you guys can see, 400 billion in total revenue and 105 billion in net income over that. 16p, it was about $8.50 if you convert it to dollars, and a market cap over almost reaching $1.7 trillion. In 2022, again, look at that. This is a record. This is like, no one has done this. That's just insane. So the number is just so bonkers for me to say. We calculated Tesla's 2030 earnings and revenue, and they'll reach this number by 2030. Aramco's doing it today. That's insane. That's absolutely crazy. Profits and revenue. But let's figure out what the revenue and net income will be in 2023 and onwards. Now, unfortunately, I checked Simply Wall Street, and they had some weird number. It didn't make any sense at all, so I took matters in my own hands because no one else on the internet does have any forecast for Aramco. It's weird. But I guess when you think about it, oil prices go up and down like ping pong balls, so I guess it's really hard to predict such event. Nonetheless, we got Curious Pejjy here, and I got to work. And looking at the oil prices today compared to last year, it's down about 40% from 120 to around like 70, 80 bucks per barrel. It doesn't affect, Aramco. Per barrel is 5 to 6 bucks. Right? So anyways, in 2023, we're not going to expect 700 billion in sales. That's just not going to happen. In fact, I'm saying they're going to go down 40% as well because the prices are low, 40%. And for revenue, we get over $436 billion. And for net income, I'm going to give it the same rate as 2021, around 25%. And that's about almost $110 billion, which is absolutely not bad. But that's 2023, and I'm pretty confident about this number because oil prices are down. If it goes back up again, then, it's really hard to predict, but I do think around this amount would be happening, more than 2021 for sure. Now, to figure out 2024, 2025 and onwards, what I did was that I went back in history, man. From 2019 to 2020, sales and profits got their average growth year over year. For the past 4 years, they were growing at a 42% for revenue and 40% for profits. Obviously, I'm not going to be doing 40% year over year for Aramco because, again, oil ain't the future. Yes, we still need oil for another hundreds and hundreds of years, not just to, fill up our cars. That's going to be eliminated, obviously. But for other things, man, making our laptops, our, material stuff, anything that we use on a daily basis needs oil. It's not just planes and cars and boats, man. We use it for everything, and as it should. It shouldn't be used for something to put into a car and get smoked up in the air. You know what I mean? Oil is not going to go away anytime soon, and in fact, a lot of economies do need it, especially the developing ones. They need it more than ever. So oil is going to be around for quite some time. Now, are they going to be around enough that they're going to make 40% growth year over year? I don't think so. So what I did was, because it fluctuates too much for oil prices and it's based on world events and black swans and one country doing one other thing. It's based on so many things. I just said 15% growth year over year for the revenue. I think that's fair. Comment down below if that's fair or not. But 15% year over year, 2024 all the way to 2030. And look at that. With that rate, 50% growth from year over year, that's almost 1.2 trillion in revenue. That's insane. That means based on this prediction, Saudi Aramco is gonna be the first company to make $1 trillion in revenue. Sheesh. That's insane. But let's see what the profits would be. The profits range on an annual basis between 20 to 25%, which is not bad actually. So I just kept it very conservative, right in the middle, 22.5% for the whole entire year, 2024 all the way to 2030. And look at that. By end of 2030, over $260 billion. A quarter of a trillion. That's $250 billion in net income profits, which is absolutely insane. Now, the craziness doesn't stop here with Aramco. It actually gets, more crazy. And that's the shares outstanding. The reason why the stock price is around $8 if you convert it to US dollars is because of the shares outstanding. And yes, as we spoke about in 2022, about 220 billion is being shares outstanding. And looking at their history, they seem to be increasing it 10% every other year, giving it an average around 5% dilution every single year. On the average. In my opinion, I do think that's because they're giving a 3.9% dividend, which could help dilute the stock, but not to this rate. Like 5% yearly on the average is insane. I mean, ExxonMobil doesn't even do that. In fact, they're buying back. So why is Saudi Aramco doing so much dilution? Maybe in the future they'll do buybacks, but I'm not too sure. They're going crazy in shares outstanding. It's insane. So instead, what I did was I said 4% year over year, they're going to continue diluting the shares outstanding. And with that, we get over 300 billion in 2030, which is absolutely insane. The EPS follows that as well. And now it's time for the PE. If you guys are ready for the PE, see what the stock price would be, why haven't you smashed that like button? Come on, man. Let's go. So in 2022, end of 2022, they were valued about 2 trillion, right? With a stock price of $8.70. And let's say you decide to dump $10,000 in there at the beginning of the year. And let's say that these were the numbers at the beginning of the year and with the full fiscal year. And you made about $390 in dividends because they pay about 3.9% in dividends alone. So not bad. You made almost $400 in a year and you did nothing. So good stuff, man. Now going to 2023. In 2023, I am expecting them to drop in sales and profits, but again, still be highly profitable. I'm going to give it a PE of 16. That will give us a stock price of $7.60 and a market cap over $1.7 trillion. The stock price went down. You've lost about $1,700 off your initial investment, but you've made about $342 in dividends. So not bad, but if you keep holding on till 2024, they did hit over $500 billion mark in revenue and over $112 billion in net income. I'm going to give it a PE of 15 here. And that's a stock price of $7.10, market cap of 1.7 trillion. And well, looks like you're losing more money now from 8,700 to almost just below $8,200. But if you keep holding on to 2025, PE of 15, we get a stock price of almost $8 per share. Market cap going back 2022 levels, actually more than that at $1.9 trillion, which is insane. Now you've kind of made your money back a little bit. Now you're back in the 9,000s, but you've made $353 in dividends that year. So not bad, not bad. Moving on to 2026, we get a total revenue of $663 billion and net income almost $150 billion. I'm going to give it a PE of 14, and that will give us a stock price of $8.10. Market cap over 2 trillion, actually reaching almost 2.1 trillion, which is not bad. And your initial investment is slowly going back to break even, but dividend $364, which is not bad at all. Moving on to 2027, a PE of 13. Now, what is interesting here, this year, we are hitting all-time highs in terms of revenue and profits. So that's very interesting. Not too sure if that will happen or not, but I mean, that's very interesting. A 13 PE will give us a stock price of $8.30. Now, again, the reason why the stock is not moving as much is because the shares outstanding. But with that, that's a market cap of over $2.2 trillion. Your initial investment is now going back to $9,600, and you've made $374 in that year, which is not bad. 2028, again, we're hitting record numbers in revenue and profits again at 12 PE, $8.50. A market cap itching towards a 2.5 trillion mark. And now you're almost there to your initial investment. I mean, that's insane. You've held about 6 years and you still haven't recovered your initial investment, but you've made about $381 in revenue. So that's not too bad. In 2029, we are hitting $1 trillion in revenue and a net income of $227 billion. I'm going to give it a PE of 11 here, and that will give us a stock price of $8.60. $2.5 trillion in market cap. Your initial investment is almost there, but it's not. You're still losing. You're still down on your initial investment, but you made almost $390 in dividends that year. Moving on to 2030, I'm going to give it a PE of 10. 1.1 trillion, over almost 1.2 trillion in revenue and more over $250 billion in net income. That's insane. With a 10 PE, that's $8.70. Market cap over 2.6 trillion. Wow, in a decade, and you still haven't made your money back, your initial investment back. That kind of sucks. But anyways, almost a 4% dividend is not bad, man. You made almost $400 that year of 2030. Not bad. Overall, if you bought from 2022 and held to 2030, you've made about $3,300 in dividends alone. If you slap on to that initial investment, that's about over $13,000. So you made about 51% from 2022 to 2030, which is not the greatest return, but I guess an okay return. Again, this is a volatile stock. Who knows? Maybe oil prices again will peak in 2027 when maybe China invades Taiwan. I don't know. Maybe it'll go to $150 again. We can see it roar up. I really don't know. But as Elon said before, that we pretty much probably peaked in oil prices. So let's see. Not too sure if that's true or not. Again, oil prices is very volatile. It's very geopolitical. It's very political. And it's very manipulated. So let's see what the year will be for our Kuma. And you know what? That's why the low PE explains. Because nobody really wants to invest in a company that's very geopolitical, that's very political, you know what I mean? So that's why the PEs are low, and they know that oil is not really too much of a long-term thing, because we have countries and governments pushing for cleaner energy, renewable energy, which I'm all for, man. I love that kind of stuff. Solar energy, electric vehicles, all that kind of stuff. So really, this type of market, we're going to have it for centuries to come, but it's a diminishing commodity decade after decade. And I would explain why the PE is low, and maybe because they keep diluting so much, that's also the reason why. There you have it. Aramco 2030, initial investment, you're not going to get it back. Or maybe you will, I don't know. Again, it's all a prediction and a prediction alone. This is based on 15% growth year over year for revenue. And obviously, if shares outstanding being diluted 4%, maybe halfway through this decade, they'll do buybacks, and that'll change the whole thing around, actually. That'll bring the price probably double to what it is now. So let's see what happens with Aramco by end of 2030.